One party clearly has the moral high ground. Let me ask the same question. How should the shutdown end? The way that Trump wants it to end?
It should end that it always... There's one way it typically has always ended.
Negotiation.
Under Biden.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Biden,
negotiation.
The government shutdown is at week 6, and things are getting out of control.
The American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown.
People are already suffering, and they have been very clear about that. You know what ended the longest shutdown in our history? Air traffic control calling out and having it be a nightmare for travel. Is this going to be the key that pushes Congress to do its job?
I think absolutely. 2 weeks ago, I had to travel at like 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning. The airport here in New York, it was packed. I mean, packed. Thank God I have TSA and clear, so only took me half an hour. But when I got there, I asked the TSA, I go, what is going on? And she's like, well, only half of us are here. She's like, we're not getting paid. We're here voluntarily. Yours truly is supposed to travel this Saturday morning with a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, domestically, but from a New York airport. Trust me, my wife, who's not really a political person, that flight gets canceled. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. There's going to be people freaking out. And my heart breaks because those people who have gone this long without a paycheck. Listen, I run a small business. I'm now 57, but at 37, 20 years ago, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I really was. Luckily, I had mommy and daddy if things got a little tight, but a lot of people who are 37 have children. They don't have mommy and daddy. So I agree with you. I think this will be what brings these two sides who should have the wherewithal, the intelligence to put their egos aside, to put their politics aside, and to do what they're there for, and to serve the people of the United States of America and get people paid, get people fed, and get things moving.
Allison, what do you think the chances are with the Democrats having this sort of big blue wave that they just had? I do that to you every time.
It's okay.
Ashley Allison, and I call you Allison every time. There's a lot of love. But Ashley, what do you make of this idea that Democrats are saying, look, let's go ahead and talk about insurance. Let's get this done, and then we will help you reopen the government. Is that going to fly?
I think both sides will come together. The reality is, though, they could have come together a month ago, but Republicans didn't want to. Democrats were saying, negotiate with us. You don't have enough votes to keep the government open. You don't have enough votes to do it your way. You have to negotiate. You don't have a mandate across all of it. Now, here's the funny thing, though, the backdrop. What's today? Thursday? 2 nights ago, Mamdani wins, and we're told he's going to turn the city into a place where you don't have groceries on the shelves, where people can't put gas in their car. You actually know where that's happening? Under government rule, with the White House being under Republican rule, with the White House being Republican rule, with the Senate being Republican rule, with the House being Republican rule. And what do we hear from the FAA? Is that there are people who can't afford to put gas in their cars because they're not getting paid. You're worried about Mamdani being a socialist. Let me finish. You're worried about Mamdani being a socialist. I'm worried about the Republicans governing.
This is why actually Republicans don't like big government, because it is extremely unreliable, and that's why they don't want more government the way that Mamdani is proposing. But
they're in charge.
I hope that, Arthur, that the Democrats are listening to you. The issue is, if you're listening to the mainstream media, 87% of coverage for the Democrats has been positive during the shutdown. So they look at this, they think they're winning. Schumer thinks every day that passes is better for him. The minority whip talks about having leverage. And they don't really have the incentive now, right? They look at the margins that they won in Virginia, where lots of angry government employees turned out to vote for Spanberger. And they think, I don't want to give this up. At the same time, Axios is reporting that House Democrats are putting tremendous pressure on Senate Democrats not to cave, not to compromise, or they will have, quote unquote, hell to pay. So I don't think Democrats are in a position where they are interested in negotiating based on everything that's being reported and that we're hearing from them.
Democrats are absolutely about to negotiate. There's reporting today that they're ready because they have leverage. First of all, I just want to say, the idea that the Republican Party is the party of small government, as you claimed, is a joke under this administration. Donald Trump is taking stakes, active stakes in multiple companies. Donald Trump is expanding his executive power, trying to trample all over Congress, trying to appoint people in key positions so that they can take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. But I do want to say...
So what do you want? What do you want big government here in New York? Why is that something that we should advocate for?
You don't want the government open.
You don't know my position on New York,
I want the government. The Republicans
y'all are
have
in
voted 14
charge.
times to open the government.
Let me just finish. Republicans have voted 14 times to strip health care away from millions of Americans. It is incredibly, incredibly obvious who has the moral high ground in this government shutdown, and it's the Democratic Party. They are just trying to prevent millions of Americans
Who
from
put
being
the
kicked off of
sunset
health
provision
care.
for ACA subsidies?
Republicans negotiated.
That was Democrats.
Republicans negotiated that
Who put the sunset provision for ACA?
Do you understand how negotiation works in Congress? Two sides have to come together. The Republican Party.
This would be the first time that we would have a
Republican
clean
Party
CR
was the
passed.
party.
This is the bill that Schumer and everyone else
the
agreed
Republican
to
Party was the party
earlier
that
this
came
year.
in.
Why aren't they committing to it this
Listen,
year?
the Republican Party.
Why can't they commit to it this
Republican
year?
Party was the party that didn't want permanent credits. Number one. Number two, the reason why Democrats are number one just holding off is because millions of Americans are about to get kicked off health care. It's incredibly simple. It's super simple.
They put in the sunset provision.
Because Republicans asked them to.
A huge point that needs to be clarified. A clean CR would include the Affordable Care Act's enhanced premium subsidies exactly as Congress passed them in the spring. By losing them, people's health care costs are going to skyrocket. This bill that they call a clean CR loses them and lets those enhanced subsidies quietly expire, which means that millions of Americans will lose the help that they need to pay for their health insurance. This is how people like Lydia Monahan here can argue this point, but it's an argument that is in bad faith. It's true technically that it's a clean CR, but only if you ignore the fact that these ACA premium subsidies are going to expire.
Talk about some of the things, because we just hear from J.D. Vance, who said, look, people are about to start feeling this. But people are feeling this, not just the federal workers who are in dire straits, but everyday Americans as well who use things like SNAP. A federal judge has come out and said, listen, you have to pay full SNAP benefits. You have to do it now. This is an emergency. What do you make of that, Lydia? With the Trump administration, like, oh, we're going to pay partial money into the SNAP fund, but we're not going to pay the full thing. And the judge is saying, no. I am ruling that you need to pay this in full. People are hurting.
My understanding is they don't have the funds to pay it in full. The emergency funds they have are not enough to cover it for this entire month. So that's why they keep pushing to try and open the government. And I think the idea that somehow a federal judge can order the executive branch to pay, why can't that same judge then ask the Democrats to reopen the government?
Well, because the executive branch was the one that said they weren't going to use the contingency money.
I mean, again, there's a debate about the emergency
not
fund. They
gonna use
already have actually provided some
But the
funds.
reason why the federal judge doesn't have to tell Congress is Congress already approved the money and is now in the executive. This is how the government works. And so the executive is saying that they don't want to release those funds because of big government, actually. And the judge is saying, in an order of checks and balances, you can't do that, Mr. President. You actually don't run. You're not a king. You actually have to release the funds that Congress has already approved because we have three branches of government. That's actually why.
Can I just ask, to either of the Republicans on this panel, would you rather see this government shutdown end in Trump's preferred way, which is terminating the filibuster, or Democrats' preferred way, which is extending health care? What do you say?
First of all, I'm not a Republican.
Sorry. Then what do you say? Then what do you say? I want to see what do you say?
I ran for city council as a Democrat in the city of New York. Okay. Lost by 100
Then I want to ask you. What do you say about that?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay, answer my question. Answer my question then.
These labels. You know why we are where we are?
Answer my
What you
question.
just did. I'm going to answer your question. But this is why we are where we are. Because we've become so partisan. We've forgotten about the people who don't put gas in their car. We've forgotten about the people who can't feed their kids. We're more worried about here's why the Democrats are not motivated to settle this. Because history will say under Donald Trump, it was the longest government shutdown.
So it'll
be it'll be now.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
So for the Democrats, it's going to be down on his scorecard. I wish Congress would go to their home districts and see the people suffering.
You want to know who
and then come back to Washington and then make their decisions.
Somebody is, and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she's taking the sides of the Democrats actively. She has talked to her constituents, and she said their health care premiums are about to skyrocket. So, again, one party clearly has the moral high ground. Let me ask the same question. How should the shutdown end? The way that Trump wants it to end?
It should end that it always... There's one way it typically has always ended.
Negotiation.
Under Biden.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Biden,
Negotiation.
It always ends with a clean
with
CR.
Negotiation.
No.
I reject your premise of your two false.
Donald Trump wants to terminate the filibuster. Democrats want to extend health care credits. Which of these sides would you choose?
I reject that premise.
Okay,
I think the way that the government has always opened is passing a clean CR. That's what Republicans did under Biden. That is what
Just because it's
they'll
always
get-
been done doesn't
done,
mean it
right.
always has to be done that same way. But wait,
wait, hold on. To be fair, Donald Trump himself has broken
Every
a
rule.
myriad of norms,
Yes.
right? And so we're in this time where you talk about polarization. We're in this time of extreme polarization where the president has broken norm after norm after norm. And now the Democrats are looking at this saying, we want to negotiate for this particular thing. And polling is showing that the population is saying, yeah, we need our health care to be
Yes.
taken care of, as well as food and getting the government back running.
Can I just say that I live in Washington, D.C., and almost 4 weeks ago when the government shutdown ended, I was leaving CNN and I was in an Uber, and the Uber driver asked me, how long do you think this is going to last? And I was like, I'm not sure. And he's like, it's week 1 and I'm already struggling. He wasn't on SNAP. And he was an independent contractor. And he's struggling because there are collateral consequences. So I actually am not going to be a hack for the Democrats or the Republican right now. This is having massive impact. I went and got my eyebrows done the other day, and my eyebrow technician was like, they're going to fire 2 technicians from here because all of our clients don't have money to come. She's not on SNAP.
That's a thing, the eyebrows?
Arthur,
Listen, their eyebrows look good.
okay.
That's a thing?
Whatever you're doing, in a moment of transparency. But I'm saying that to say, I'm saying that to say,
Yeah.
for people who you think that like an eyebrow, a lash technician, a beautician is not feeling that, they have clients. The clients have to have money to
Right.
pay them.
Restaurants the same way.
Restaurants have the DC is hurting, and there are people that work for the
a
federal
domino effect.
government, not just in Washington, D.C., across the entire government. And so this is not just going to impact SNAP benefits or people recipients. It's going to impact the entire American population.
And
Let's call this what it is. Republicans are using hunger as leverage. Trump is suing to prevent a judge order of the payment of money for food stamps. Cruel indifference to the suffering of his own people. Americans who mostly voted for Donald Trump. Cruel, psychopathic. The shutdown is a pressure tactic designed to make ordinary Americans suffer until Democrats agree to cuts they would never pass through Congress otherwise. Already, hundreds of thousands of federal workers have gone more than 5 weeks without pay. Now, 10% of flights across the country are grounded or delayed because air traffic controllers and TSA agents can't even afford to put gas in their cars to get to work. This on top of Republicans doing everything in their power to block the release of food assistance to 42 million Americans on SNAP until a federal judge forced their hand today. The population of California is 40 million people. The population of Texas is 30 million people. We are talking about more than the entire population of the state of Texas or California. And that cruelty is deliberate. The goal is to make life unlivable enough that Democrats fold, but Democrats are refusing to trade away healthcare and food security just to end this crisis that Republicans created. They are standing firm to keep SNAP fully funded and ACA tax credits in place so that people don't see their premiums skyrocket the day that the government reopens. An example would be let's say a 60-year-old making $63,000 a year. The cost of the plan for them that had cost $450 will now cost $1,200 a month for health insurance. Insane. Insane. If these ACA subsidies aren't extended, the result will be catastrophic. It is estimated that about 4 to 5 million people will lose their health insurance coverage altogether because they won't be able to pay for it. $1,200 a month is insane. That's about 20% of somebody's, more than 20% of somebody's take-home pay if they're making $63,000 a year. And you still got to pay for housing, you got to pay for your kids, you got to pay for food. Study after study shows that being uninsured increases one's odds of mortality by about 20 to 25%. Peer-reviewed projections suggest that if ACA marketplace premium tax credits are allowed to expire, the additional deaths from those changes because people won't be able to afford health insurance could exceed 50,000 people a year. Also, the ripple effect of the loss of over 300,000 jobs connected to the healthcare sector and billions in unpaid hospital bills that taxpayers will eventually absorb is a burden that the Republicans are putting on the American people. So when lawmakers call this a clean CR, what they really mean is a resolution that in effect rewrites the law by omission. One that doubles premiums, drives health care coverage through the roof for many Americans, and statistically guarantees tens of thousands of unnecessary deaths. That doesn't sound like a very clean CR to me. Subscribe to the channel, Like the video if you made it this far, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.